Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Now let's get straight into it. Today's lesson is for the brothers. All right. So this lesson is applying the scriptures to become a better man. Now, I'm doing this lesson because I truly believe brothers need it. And when I say brothers, myself included, due to some recent events and other things that's going on in the world, it's been made really clear to me that, we've been going over precepts, but to me, we haven't talked as much about, applying the scriptures to our daily lives. Although, we all make mistakes, speaking for myself, I make mistakes every day. However, some mistakes concerning family and friends, pertaining to the woman, etc., sometimes they can be avoided. Sometimes they can be avoided just by applying the scriptures to our daily lives. Again, all of our decisions. So we won't look at the scriptures and our lives in two separate things. They go together. And, like I said in the last lesson, I just think there's a disconnect there. So instead of going into the lessons that I said I was going to go into, I decided to do this one first, instead. But again, this is for the brothers. This is for the men. Sisters can listen, of course, but this whole lesson is pertaining to the men, because men are the flock of the Most High's pasture, pursuant to Ezekiel, I want to say 34 and 31. All right, so we need that special attention. Now without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it though. Let's get 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 7.
Con, it's the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 7. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who no letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way.
All right, so the mystery of iniquity. All right, so we're in the mystery system right now. What is that? That was the Babylonian religion. All right, it was called the Babylonian mystery school system. Without getting too deep into that, what does this verse mean? Why did I go to it? It's because we have to understand that we are in a world governed by sin. The doctrine here, the religion, the spiritual energy is all Babylonian. All right. And Babylon means great confusion. So, we have to recognize that when things happen in our lives, we have to recognize that, brothers, things are not what they appear in this place. All right. That goes for, Jake, that goes for brothers and sisters that's in the knowledge with us as well. You never really know what you're looking at, and you cannot put your guard down just because somebody is wearing fringes or whatever the case is. And I think brothers sometimes, may lose sight of that a little bit, and we all can. I'm not saying I'm exempt from that at all. I just wanted to go to that. And also, let's get Matthew chapter 24, and then let's get 23 and 24.
It's the book of Matthew chapter 24 and verse 23. Then, if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Hamashiach, or there, believe it not.
Let's keep going.
For there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
Now, why do you think Yahushua said that if it was possible, the very elect would be deceived? That's because that's how strong the deception is in this land. It would even deceive the very elect. We all are not exempt from that. All right, and things are just going to get worse and worse and worse. Like Job said in Job chapter 10, we're in a land of darkness, man. So again, even brothers and sisters that seem genuine could be deceiving you. All right. So how much more Jake and Eve that's in your life that you deal with too. The sooner you accept that, the less confounded you'll be when things happen. And you won't be as trusting. The world's doctrine is, the alleged world doctrine is innocent until proven guilty. Really, I believe we have to look at everything as guilty until proven innocent. And that's what they do anyways. But that's how we gotta be. We gotta be girded, man. So again, you won't be so confounded when people start tripping out. Let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9 through 10.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves. Keep going up.
Yeah, keep going up.
Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revelers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
So guess what? That means until thy kingdom comes, these people will exist. Okay? And you don't know if you're looking at a fornicator, idolater, an adulterer, abuser of themselves or mankind. You really don't know what you're looking at. And just because a brother is wearing fringes or a sister is wearing a dress, that doesn't mean that, they are not a part of this lot. That goes for us too, of course. But I'm just saying. So you setting yourself up to be deceived if you don't understand this. We are not in the kingdom yet. We are still in Babylon. All right. So, and look, this is not a message of hate or anything like that. All I'm saying is to be careful, to examine everyone that comes around you, examine with a careful eye, all the brothers and sisters that come into your life, whether they in the knowledge or not, but especially those that aren't. I just feel like brothers, are being too trustworthy, especially with the woman. You can end up making certain moves and put yourself in jeopardy, especially with the woman if you're not careful, man. And you just never know what you're looking at. All right. We in Babylon. We not in the kingdom. And again, this goes for the brothers too. As far as brothers in the knowledge, you have to be careful. I mean, we know some examples where we have some brothers that, they seemed like they were straight, but they were really on some different stuff. And this is definitely not the majority of brothers we meet. But, you just have to know that lot does exist. And they can put you in a bad position if you let them. All right, let's get Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 13.
It's the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, 13 up.
13 up.
In verse 13. The remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. For they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid.
So again, that's in the kingdom, okay? But for right now, that's not the case. All right, so brothers and sisters will speak lies right now. There will be a deceitful tongue led in their mouth, okay? So you just got to keep that in mind. Everything has to be constantly assessed on a daily basis. That's why I always say, take your time with the woman, man. Take your time. Don't be so, don't move so fast on someone that you really don't really know exactly what they got going on. All right, you got to prove them first. And, you know, a friend is proven in adversity. All right, and that goes for the brothers in your lives too. Not for us that we know each other here on this call, but when new brothers come in, things of that nature, you have to examine that. And of course, I'm not saying like literally don't talk to somebody or like, bro, don't come near me, nothing like that. I'm just saying don't put your guard down. That's all I'm saying here. Just something that we can apply in our daily lives. Just something to remember. All right. Let's get 1 Kings chapter 3. And let's start at verse 5, and then you keep working your way down.
It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 3 and verse 5. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And the Most High said, ask what I shall give thee.
Keep going.
And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day.
As it is this day. All right, let's keep going.
Verse 7, and now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in.
So I don't know where to go. I don't know how to go out or to come in. All right, let's get verse 9.
Verse 9. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?
So King Solomon, he prayed for discernment and an understanding heart of all the things that he could have prayed for. You know, he chose discernment, you know, over any type of gold and silver, or even at this time over the woman. Discernment from good versus evil. In these last days, that's going to be a great gift from the Most High, because like I said, things are just going to get worse. Okay. You cannot be surprised if there's brothers that or sisters that, you know, we may know from videos on the internet or things of that nature that may start doing some things, you know, some strange things, man. If you see something like that, you can't be confounded, because that could happen. It's possible. But to have that discernment, that's going to be a great gift in these last days, because we're going to need it. We're going to need to be able to be a discerner of spirit and not just the flesh. You can't go by what brothers or sisters say, you know, things like that. All right, because you get jammed up. People say a lot of things. What they actually mean, oftentimes, are two completely different things. Let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 2.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 2. Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters? So
you cannot be a great judge without discernment, because you have to be able to judge between the good and bad, meaning you have to be able to recognize the good and bad. All right, that's what a good judge is. All right, you can even think about the judges here. You know, they know a lot of quote unquote street terminology and things of that nature. Somebody come in that courtroom, most of the time, they can pretty much assess what type of person they are before they even get to talking. And it's not even just by what they wear, because they could be wearing nice clothes and they still be like, okay, this person, they just got on nice clothes, but they really ain't about what they talking about. You know, you got to know both good and evil. To be able to recognize good and evil, you have to know both good and evil. All right, but why am I even talking about this? Because again, discernment is going to be a great gift from the Most High in these last days. We're going to need it, brothers. We're going to need it. So we have to pray and fast for discernment, because we're in Babylon. Things are not what they appear to be, and they are going to get worse. In a blink of an eye, we can have a whole nother, quote unquote pandemic, or some type of other medical warfare, or they can come hit us with something different, or they can, start persecuting the saints. We really never know. We don't know when that time is going to come. All right. And if Yahweh told us the very elect, if it was possible, the very elect could be deceived, how much more than a regular man? Things are going to get weird out here, man. And we got to be prepared for that. Mindset got to be, okay, we have not seen the worst yet. It's going to get worse. So we got to be building up our discernment, on a daily basis. And we have to actually pray and fast for discernment, not just talk about it. Literally take out time out of your week or your month, look at your schedule and say, okay, if you're physically able-bodied to do so, and actually pray and fast. Well, I'm speaking of fasting particularly in this, but you need to fast for discernment if it's possible. Don't actually talk about it. That's why the scripture is applying the scriptures to become a better man, because this is about actually applying what we know. All right. So that was a little spiel there, but I feel like we need to know this. Let's get Job chapter 6 and verse 30.
God, this is the book of Job, chapter 6 and verse 30. And it reads, is there iniquity in my tongue? Cannot my taste discern perverse things?
All right, your taste or your spirit has to be able to discern perverse things. Apply this to your life. Things don't happen for no reason. If somebody plays you, whether that be another brother or a woman, that didn't happen out of nowhere. The woman didn't just turn on you. That brother didn't just turn on you out of nowhere. It's because you either ignored signs or you weren't able to discern those signs before time. All right. At least that's 9 times out of 10. Again, this is Babylon, so somebody could not even really be showing anything. They just switch out on you. Who knows? All right, but 9 times out of 10, it's because you didn't have the taste to discern perverse things. And I'm not talking about other brothers particularly. Again, this all applies to me as well. I can bring up a million different examples of when this happened to me myself. All right, but we have to have that spirit to discern perverse things, because they can happen at any time. You got to have your loins girded, man. Don't let your guard down. All right. Again, pray and fast for discernment always. Let's get Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 14.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 5 and verse 14. But strong meat belongeth to them that are full of age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil.
So that's who the strong meat belongs to. Those who by reason use their senses to exercise and discern both good and evil. Why does it say both good and evil? Because you will think evil is good and good is evil if you cannot discern between the two. You understand? Like we were talking about before the recording started, that wicked Negro Kendrick Lamar. Now, as a rapper, I always thought he was, decent, but that's just like with anybody else. I never paid him any attention at all. When he said that he was an Israelite, I literally paid that no mind. All right. And I see, I saw a lot of brothers say different things like, oh, well, I don't know if you really in this thing. I ain't seen him wear no fringes. And I'm like, fringes? Look what he talks about in his song. What do you need to see fringes for? Doesn't matter if he's wearing fringes or not. That's not what makes a man righteous. You understand? Even if it comes to keeping a law, you can't even look at somebody keeping a law and think that makes them righteous. Why? Because why are you doing it? What's within your spirit? Or do you have a genuine spirit? You have two people that could be keeping the Sabbath, right? You have two people. One could be keeping the Sabbath because he believes in the Lord. He has the faith of Yahushua, and he's trying to keep the commandments to the best of his ability. Then you can have somebody else doing it just because it's the end thing to do. They homeboys doing it, or it could be a woman. She's only doing it because her man told her to do so, but she doesn't actually believe. Those things are not counted the same. So you dang sure can't look at something like fringes and think a man is righteous because of that. You got to have that discernment to exercise between good and evil. Don't let somebody like Kendrick Lamar throw you off, all right, and think this man righteous just because he said the word Israelite. Don't know what's really going on. And he was probably told to say that. Either he was told to say it, or it could be something even deeper that I won't even get into in this video. Either way, it's a deception. Don't fall by nothing like that. Because these last days, they're going to have more of these artists saying stuff like that. Okay? And they could even say things like keep the commandments. You never know. But that could all be part of the plot to throw our people off. Don't trust it. All right. Like Nick Cannon and all that, you see how he did. Don't trust all of that, man. Don't get excited because an artist, so-called, say he an Israelite and all that, man. That don't mean anything. All that matters is if you keeping the statute, laws, and commandments of the Most High, you have a faith in Yahushua, and you doing it in a genuine spirit. That's all that matters.
A lot.
Con.
Yeah, that just to add on there, like one thing people tend to do when it comes to these celebrities is that they will see them like starting to do certain things in regards to a certain subject type of matter or whatever, and then they will expect that quote unquote celebrity to now be a leader in it, and it goes back into people making idols of men and being very heavy into worshiping someone's person.
Con, I completely agree. You can't be looking at them like, yeah, well, you need to do this, and now you can promote us here, and you can wake up. No, you can't expect nothing out these people, man. And it doesn't make them a leader of anything. Just let them lead their own life, because you're gonna have some of these people that actually may be sincere, especially the ones that weren't as huge of an artist. Now, I don't know what they had to do to get to the point that they got to. I don't know if Yahushua will accept, even if they are being genuine, if they had to do some other things to even get in the industry. That ain't none of my business. But either way, it doesn't affect me at all. And brothers and sisters have to not even be looking at that, and worried about who say what. Now, I seen a brother post DMX. I forgot what scripture he had tatted on. I believe it was Exodus 2 or 3. I can't remember exactly what DMX had tatted on it. And the brother posted it and was like, Israel waking up or something like that. I'm like, bro, that's a tattoo though. But anyway. Let's get Matthew chapter 5 and verse 29.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 29. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell.
Let's just get verse 30.
Verse 30. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell.
So what Yahushua is saying is that if you have anything in your spirit that's causing you not to be girded in this word, you need to cut it out. You need to pluck it out. All right. This refers to something that's going on within yourself, or this could be other people, because I'm just going to be straight with y'all, man. Some of our brothers, man, our cutoff game is weak. I'm going to just be real. You know, brothers not really moving quickly on cutting people out. And, you know, no offense here. I've also moved too slow on things like that myself. But once you notice something or someone is slowing your spirit up, you got to pluck it out. You got to get rid of it. It doesn't really matter how long you've known them. You know, it doesn't matter if they're a family member. Doesn't matter if it's a woman that you've been with for, you know, so-called been with for some months or even years. All right. Yahushua said in Matthew 10 that, you know, we can't be confounded when this happens. You got to cut them off. All right. And if they cut you off, you can't be astounded by it. You know, so brothers got to keep this in mind, man. We got to keep this Matthew 5 and 29 and 30 in mind. And we got to move on it a little bit quicker than what we've been doing. All right, pluck it out. If you got something that you know, it's been holding your spiritual walk back, pluck it out. All right, pray on that thing, fast on it. Actually do it, apply it. Don't just talk about it, apply it. Now, is a lot of these things gonna happen overnight? Absolutely not. We know that. A lot of things not going to happen overnight, but we have to at least be yearning for that. All right, we have to be leaning towards this constant improvement with all of our decisions every single day. That's what really makes you a man of the Lord. All right, this is in my way, man. Yeah, Lee, I can't get to my scriptures, man. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's get Sirach chapter 6 and then verse 8.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 8. For some man is a friend for his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of thy trouble.
You know, some of our so-called friends that reject the scriptures are only friend by occasion. And that's okay, but you got to recognize that, man. Even someone that has no idea what's going on in the scriptures, they aren't truly a friend if they start acting differently because of your walk in the word, even though they don't understand it. Things always are going to be different from that point on. But if they get to acting up, barely answering the phone, not texting back, doing so and so forth, you got to be prepared to cut them off, and that's okay. That could have been your best friend in the world, could have been your best friend for the last 10 years, whatever the case. You got to cut them off. All right, and you can't be scared to do that. All right, it's all good. It's part of this walk. We all have to deal with it. Again, don't be astounded when these things happen. When the scriptures that you already know are here, when they actually take place in your life, you can't be astounded, man. We gotta, that's the way we gotta move. Let's get Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 28.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 25 and verse 28. And it reads, he that have no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
Wow. So, with discernment, you become a better judge and you have more control. You have more control over your own spirit. You have more rule over your own spirit. This all comes with discernment. And he have no rule. I just want to read this one more time. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. Anybody can come in, anybody can go out. All right, that's why we have to work on our discernment. That's why we have to work on our spirit constantly. Because if not, we have no rule over it. We have no control over ourselves. And this can leak into so many different areas of life. So if you feel like you have something going on that you have no control over, let's be real here, brothers, whether it's be lust or, whatever the case is, you have to do your best. Whatever that is, you have to do your best to get control of that thing, man. Don't let it take control over you, where you have no rule over your own spirit. All right. And a city that's broken down without walls can be taken over. By who? By Satan. All right. We don't want that. Next thing you know, we talking about Christianity wasn't that bad. Now let's talk about some other practical things that we can do. Let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 30. Brothers already know this in verse 15.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 15. Health and good state of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth.
Actually, let's get 16 first.
Verse 16. There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart.
Well, I was going to say, in this world, they say you are what you eat, right? Which is true. How can you expect to be able to function to the best of your ability if you aren't eating well? Or if we in bad health? This affects your ability to read, pray, fast, be a better man and woman. Oh, well, this is for the brother. So, brother, man of the Lord. All right. So this is something that we need to focus on. All right. Now, if brothers, need any ideas on how to improve their diet and things of that nature, just let me know. And I got you. But all of this wicked fast food and excessive dairy and, having too much sweets and things like that, it'll throw you off from your daily walk. And it's something to pay attention to. All right. It's part of this constant improvement that we all have to be striving to do. Okay. So again, health and good state of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. While a strong body above infinite wealth, that's some powerful words. So why would we not pay attention to, what we intaking into our bodies? Now, am I saying I'm perfect here? No, I'm not. But, I made great strides here within the last few years to improve that. Now, it may be difficult for brothers to do things like meal prep and things like that, but you definitely can control how much you go out to eat just by preparing better. You just have to prepare things before time, even if it's not meal prep. Just think about what you're going to eat before the time actually gets there. So you don't have only 20, 30 minutes to eat. And then you got to go to Hardee's or some folly like that, man. Whatever, if you still eat fast food, you need to be trying to reduce the amount of times that you eat it. All right. If you're still eating things, that you shouldn't be eating, of course, all within the dietary law still, because that shouldn't be just our goal is to eat within the dietary law. We have to exceed that. We have to do better. All right. You need to be making strides towards that. Here a little and there a little. All right, let's get the book of Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 31 and verse 27.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 31 in verse 27. Wine is as good as life to a man if he be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad.
Let's get verse 28.
Verse 28. Wine measurably drunk and in season bringeth gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of the mind.
All right, but what on verse 39?
Verse 29. But wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind, with brawling and quarreling.
So I give verse 29, but yes, wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind, with brawling and quarreling. So this is one area that I see as well that we all can improve on more than likely, is that, you know, this is just my perspective. I feel like just because, you know, it's not off per se to drink, that it doesn't mean that we necessarily have to push it to the limits of, you know, every weekend you drinking until right before you get drunk. You know, I feel like that's where brothers can be at with that, man. And, you know, brothers may wonder why I don't drink as much as I used to. And this is, you know, this is why. Actually, let me get the next verse for that. Let me get the next verse. Let's get Titus chapter 2 and then verse 2.
God, this is the book of Titus, chapter 2 and verse 2. That the aged man be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, and in patience.
Let's get verse 6.
Verse 6. Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded.
All right, now I'm not making up a doctrine here. I'm not saying that this means that you cannot drink at all. I'm not saying that, of course not. All I'm saying is that, you know, I do like to be in control. I like to have a sober mind. And, you know, I will have, you know, a drink or two here and there, but I do none of that. I don't drink at all 99% of the time during the week. And even on the weekend, I miss a lot of weekends. I don't even really think about it. And the reason is because, you know, I just want to be at my maximum, you know, optimal state most of the time. And again, it's nothing wrong with enjoying a drink, but if drinking becomes, you know, something that affects your pockets, if it affects your spirit, or, you know, you waking up with a hangover and all that, even though you didn't get drunk, at least allegedly you didn't, but you waking up with a hangover and feeling a little funny the next day, then it may be something that you want to restrict. So this is all about, I'm bringing this up for restriction, not saying that brothers shouldn't drink or nothing like that. All I'm saying is if this affects your life, you know, in a way that it could throw you off even a little bit, then it may be something you need to restrict. All right. Just because it's not off does not mean that you can't do better. You understand? Again, we have to be in a constant state of improvement. If we truly desire to be in the kingdom, that's what it's going to take. And you have to look at the little things that you're doing, you know, to see where you can make improvements at. All right, I do be kind of going a little too hard on the drinks, you know, on the beer, you know, because our brothers can knock down some beer, man. You know, that's what we can do. And, you know, it may be something to consider. Maybe something to consider. All right, depending on the brother. But I thought it was meet to at least include it. All right, let's get the book of Sirach. Let's see. I just grabbed. I'm not sure why I got 19 there. We'll go back there. Let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 32 and verse 11.
It's book of Sirach, chapter 32 and verse 11. Rise up betimes, and be not the last, but get thee home without delay.
All right, rise up at times, meaning wake up early, when it applies, because brothers work night shift and different things like that. So when it applies, brothers also need to be waking up early. That's something that if you go to work at 8 o'clock, all right, and you waking up just enough time to, put on your clothes and brush your teeth and make it to work on time, you need to consider waking up at least an hour earlier so you can get something done before you go to work. All right. And, if you already do that, but it's just not consistent, then work on being more consistent at it. You can get the scriptures in before you go to work. All right. And being consistent, set an alarm. We got so much technology now. Use that technology, Esau's wicked inventions, use that technology to your benefit. All right. Wake up early, get things done, be consistent. My consistent time is 5 o'clock in the morning. And I've been considering, at times pushing that back to 4, just, depending on just pondering on the things that I really want to have done before even 9 o'clock. And that's just based on my schedule. Everybody's schedule is different, but again, whatever you have to do to be more productive, to be more fruitful, make those adjustments. Again, this is applying the scriptures to become a better man. All right, this is things that we have to consider. Rise up at times. Let's get Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 24.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 12 and verse 24. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute.
All right, so the way to be diligent, the word is to be productive. To be productive, you have to be intentional. All right, so, you have to get a notebook of some kind and actually physically write things down. Write down your goals and plan ahead of time and be consistent. This is not a process. If it's something that you aren't accustomed to doing, all right, it's not something that's probably going to happen, overnight. However, it's definitely something you need to be striving towards. And I'm not even saying writing things down works for everybody, but I know dang well it works out for me. When there's times where I'm not consistent with writing things out that I need to do, the productivity in that week versus the weeks that I do is like night and day. Like, it's crazy how much more you'll get done when you make that connection with, writing down what you got to do and actually, wanting to get that task done. All right. Versus just winging it. Brothers, we can get up and be winging this thing, man. Well, I'm going to read this time. I'm going to do this. And I know fasting can be like that. You could say, man, I'm going to fast. I'm going to do that eventually. And then you look up, and you fasted once per year during the Day of Atonement. These things can happen if you're not setting goals. All right. So again, this is applying the scriptures to become a better man. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule. That's the only way to bear rule, is to be productive, to be diligent, and to be consistent in this thing, man. That's what we got to be striving towards. All right. Now let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 21.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 21. Give not over thy mind to heaviness, and afflict not thyself in thine own counsel.
Hey, I'm gonna be real with y'all again, man. Hey, brothers honestly be getting in their own way, man. Afflicting thyself in thy own counsel. you know, if we want to apply the scriptures to become better men, we have to seek good counsel. And that counsel, you know, from yourself may not be good counsel. I'm just going to be real with you. And again, that goes for me as well. If you don't have any, or you have little experience in something, you know, whether that be the woman or other endeavors in life, maybe you need to reach out to another brother. You know, don't make moves just because it feels good. You know, because, you know, again, I'm just going to be honest here. Some things I see brothers do just make absolutely no sense. And all I can think of is, you know, you're not actually seeking counsel for some of the moves that you're making. All right. Are you seeking counsel from someone that's not going to tell you the truth and be upfront with you? Or they just don't have that much experience in whatever it is either. But either way, afflict not thyself in thine own counsel. Don't get in your own way, because we could do that easily. Seek good counsel, you know, if you need to. Whatever it is, we actually always should be seeking good counsel. But especially if it's something that, you know, you're not accustomed to. And actually, let's get the next verse. Let's get Sirach 6:36.
The book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 36. And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door.
Don't be scared to ask questions, brothers. We all can be scared to ask questions. You know, we all need mentorship and counsel. All the great men of the Lord did, you know, and sometimes when it's not concerning spiritual matters, let's be real, you may need a Jake or even someone of another nation to give you counsel on whatever that thing is. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, don't be over righteous about that. Until we're in the kingdom, we won't be able to confide in our own people for everything. Until then, do what you need to do. All right. But, you know, when it comes to spiritual matters, when it comes to keeping the law, to being a man of the Lord, when it comes even to the woman, of course, that needs to be a man of the Lord. But just keep in mind that you may need to seek counsel from others as well, depending on what it is. All right. Applying the scriptures. Let's get Proverbs chapter 1, and then let's start at verse 2.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 2. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding.
Kind of skip to verse 5.
Verse 5, a wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels.
A wise man will hear, you know, so do brothers be hearing, man? Do brothers be listening? You know, sometimes I don't think so, but it's okay, man. It's okay. But that's got to be our mindset, to hear and increase learning and seek men of understanding, you know, and seeking that wise counsel when it's available. All right. But again, don't be scared to ask questions before you make a move. And, you know, don't make a move because your flesh is telling you to, when you know your spirit is telling you that that's a fleshly move. You know, you got to fight that thing, man, especially when it's a major decision in your life. All right. But even things, you know, small and great, just keep this in mind. This is applying the scriptures. Let's get 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 10.
The book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 10. For even when we were with, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat.
Wow. So this is spiritual too. You know, if you aren't intentional, all right, if you're not putting in the work, you won't eat of the bread of life either. All right. You know, if you feel like you don't have enough time in a day, then it may be time to cut something out. You know, again, like we talked about, waking up earlier. All right. Or just doing it more consistently, not just one day, you know, out of the week. You know, we have to be consistent in this thing, man. We need months and months and, you know, and years eventually of consistency to really see results. And when I say results, I'm not just referring to, you know, laborers' work, also in the work of the Lord. All right. We got to be patient and work hard in this thing, man. You know, and another thing, if, you know, our brothers on their phones too much, you know, cut that out if you need to. There's an app, I'm not sure on Android, but on Apple, you have what is it called? It's a time something where you can limit how much you own social media. It'll give you like a little alert. You can set how much time you own there per day. And I had that set on my phone. So I can only be on YouTube a certain time. I can only be on Instagram and Facebook for a certain amount of time. All right. And I have to be on there for business, and I still have that set on there because I don't want to be on there too long because I got work to do. I got to work for the Lord, and I have work for labor to do. So because I want to eat, it says if any would not work, neither should he eat. I'm trying to eat. So, you know, these are things that brothers can incorporate in their life. You know, that's something that you got to pay attention to. Are you consuming too much social media? All right. It could be spirits coming to you on that thing, man. You could be coveting and not realizing it. Be looking at the woman too doggone much and not realize it. This is real things that we have to talk about and not ignore them. All right. This is applying the scriptures, man. All right. Let's get Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 3.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 3. Commit thy works unto the Most High, and thy thoughts shall be established.
Be committed unto the Lord, man. You know, just watching videos on YouTube, you know, things like that doesn't mean that you're committed to the Lord. All right. And I don't think anyone here is has that mindset or anything like that, but I'm just using that as an example. Because our brothers, without them realizing that they had that mindset, it's like they think that you know, doing the work of the Lord is like just watching other men do breakdowns and things like that. And they probably don't even have their own sword out, edifying themselves, adding precepts here and there, going over to see what you get from it and things of that nature. Just laying around and watching videos is not committing thy works into the Lord. Just wanted to add that in there. You know, again, waking up earlier or being more consistent with it, watching your diet, watching what you consume. All of these different things are going to make thy works committed into the Lord. This is how we apply the scriptures, man. All of our choices that we make are important on a daily basis. Okay. Because just knowing precepts alone, that's not enough. It's not enough. You can know all the precepts, you know, in the scriptures, but if you're not applying them, what does it matter? It doesn't matter at all what you know. It's about what you can apply. If you can apply what you know. All right, because you really, honestly, you don't know something unless you actually can do it. A lot of brothers say they know things, but they really just know of it. Because if you knew it, you would actually do it. All right, and that's how we stay committed. Let's see, what do I have here? First Timothy. Yeah, First Timothy chapter 5 and then verse 8.
It's the book of First Timothy, chapter 5 and verse 8. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he have denied the faith and is worse than an infidel.
You know, I've heard that there's brothers that don't actually work and they let their woman take care of them. And that's just it's just upsetting to hear. And that's just so off, man. You know, we have to do the work not only by reading, praying, and fasting, but also by being consistent in, you know, not making excuses and hitting our goals in other areas of life as well. You know, and I've heard other brothers, you know, kind of going a route where they acting like you off if you actually have goals in this life. And that's crazy to me too. You know, brothers be having that energy. And all that matters is if you aren't going off and, you know, you're not breaking the law. And I'm not saying like it's you go into the limit where you, okay, I'm just not breaking the law, but you almost there some. No, I'm just saying that as long as your heart is not into what you doing for work, there's no way that you can be off. There's nothing wrong with having things for yourself. We all want to have things for ourselves and our family. And don't let nobody else gas you up to think otherwise. All right, but again, we should be creating goals, setting goals, and looking to accomplish them, man. That's what we should be doing. All right, and providing for our own house. Because if not, we deny the faith in us, worse than an infidel. All right, you know, because it just makes you worse off. It just makes you worse off because again, you'll be coveting. You'll be coveting your neighbor, want what he got. You know, and I'm talking about the baser things in life. I'm not talking about, you know, excessiveness. You know, and what may seem excessive to one brother may not be excessive to another. But I ain't talking about nothing crazy. But again, we do have to put in the work in other areas of life, in life as well. Create goals, you know, set goals, and then look to accomplish them every day. This is an everyday fight, man. In this thing, it's an everyday fight. So actually, let's see. I had a few other precepts I had pulled up, but outside of that, we getting ready to close out. Let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 21, and then verse 14.
God, it's the book of Sirach, chapter 21 and verse 14. The inner parts of a fool are like a broken vessel, and he will hold no knowledge as long as he liveth.
This went with what I was saying earlier about attaining to wise counsel. You know, a fool doesn't understand. Not only does he not understand, he doesn't hold any knowledge that he's given. All right, and that's what makes a fool a fool. Essentially, is because he doesn't have the ability to understand his situation or the ability to grow and come out of that situation. And we want to make sure that we're not doing that, man. When we get counsel, when we get, you know, advice, as long as we can discern that it makes sense, we got to roll with it and actually take action. And we want to be like the fool, like a broken vessel that holds no knowledge. You know, a broken vessel, you can pour water in a vessel, a broken vessel, but it's just going to come right back out. Like a ship, you know, with a hole in it. It's going to eventually sink. All right, and more water just going to come in and flood it. That's not how we want to be. We want to take this knowledge that we receive, you know, whether that be from counsel or you just receive that from life, you know, or you can receive it from the word. You read a precept, oh man, that's talking about me. It's time to move then. A brother, you know, put you on something, oh man, you right, it's time to make a move. Or just from your life experience, you know, it teaches you something, you got to move. But again, don't afflict thine own self in your own counsel as well. All right. So, I could have went so many different ways with this lesson, but I didn't want to overtalk it. I wanted to hit some of the points that I wanted to talk about. And I want us to be diligent in this thing, man. I really pray and hope that every brother on this call and really every brother that ever hears this, applies the scriptures to become a better man. And that's what we have to be. If we look to follow the shepherd, if we want to be part of the elect, the hopeful elect to make it into the kingdom, that's exactly what we have to do. And with that, shalom.